Hey, Manny, I guess the usual Wednesday question, how's practice going this week, mood of the team, that sort of thing?
I think everything's been very positive. Putting in hard work days, the mood is, it's Wednesday and it's hard and it's designed to be hard, and let's just be a team that works and find a way to, the only thing we can do this week is to beat Central Michigan. It's the only thing we can accomplish.
I mean, we know you had a couple guys that get dinged up in the last game. Finley, Lingard, or was it Pope? Did they even practice?
Yeah, Finley and Lingard were out on the field today. Pope, we're still hopeful. Pope will probably be a game time decision. We can't talk about specifics of injuries like that, but like I said, it's good to see him back run around out there today.
So he's cleared or whatever.
He was on the field today, yeah.
Is he cleared to play on the next game?
Yeah, he is.
And Manny, not to make this all about injuries or whatever, but any update on Nesta? We haven't asked about him in a while.
Yeah, you know what? The news and outlook has all been good on him. I don't have like a date, like this will be the day for sure that he'll be back, but actually Nesta and Pat Joyner actually both joined the team for flex today. They went through, so that's all the running, going back and forth, and rolls and things like that. So I think he's starting to get excited that it's not too far off.
Manny, when you're at this point in the season, what's the policies, procedures, emphasis on avoiding the silly penalty? I know it's probably an emphasis in camp, but is that something you talk about throughout, or is it something that should be so ingrained that you don't have to keep talking about it?
Like, what would be like a silly penalty, like, for example?
I have to confess, it's a broad story that somebody asked for voices on, but just like any... a guy loses his head. A guy takes 15 when he doesn't have to.
Sure, I think that's a habit. So I think that's the way that you practice. I think that's the way that you run your off-season program. And that's not to say that it's not a heated environment and guys will not make a mistake during the course of the year. But whether it's do you allow, what's your punishment for fighting in practice? What's your punishment for guys? The whole thing we came in with our accountability structure from January was the mistake of one affects others. So I think just creating that culture where, if I get into my feelings and I want to act out on the field, I understand that many, many people suffer. Even as funny as Jimmy Murphy's penalty was, we had to kick off from the 20-yard line and gave them great field position to set their last drive. So they all understand that anything I do on my own is going to have an impact on the collective.
I mean, is it like a cone number 3 tailback right now when Lorenzo comes back, or do you have a number 3 right now?
Well, Burns obviously went in third last Saturday and did a good job. But I would say the two of those guys right now, and just their ability to continue to compete and hopefully be able to roll 3 guys in, I think it'd be pretty cool.
I'm sure you were asked this on Monday, so I apologize, but people might not know this team you're playing, but they certainly know the head coach, especially people in Florida know the head coach. Does that add maybe to the challenge, maybe to the focus for these guys, that they know who that head coach is? They might not know who those players are. They might not know that league so much, but the fact that he's a bit of an entity, does that sort of add to their credibility a little bit?
Well, in our building, I can't speak for the outside, but in our building, number one, our players know who their players are, right? Because they can see on film guys making plays on both sides of the ball. Number two, our players, and even if our players may not be aware of who Coach McElwain and his staff are, they see a team that's well coached. They see a team that doesn't look like the version of what they were a year ago. They see the schemes that they run on offense and what they do defensively and how hard they're playing defensively and how sound that they are. So, again, I don't know if our players are ever cognizant really of the coach that they're playing, but they can see it and say, okay, you pop on the film and say, yeah, I understand this is a well-coached football team.
And you guy who keeps memorabilia or anything like that, sports memorabilia, I'm wondering if you took anything from the first game ball, anything from the first win.
They did hand me a ball after the game, so that was pretty cool. We'll have to find a place for that, but other than that, I think that was all the memorabilia stuff I had.
I know it's just 3 games, but it seems like the receivers are doing a better job of eliminating the drops. That was kind of an issue last year. Is that fair to say? I mean,
no, I do. I think we've been pretty clean in that regard. I think Taylor Stubblefield's done a great job with those guys. Catching the ball, running after the catch, and then blocking downfield on run plays. We had some really dominant stuff on film from this past Saturday. So, that room, just like and then the depth we're starting to be able to play with, getting more guys in the game there, I think helps with all that too. And so more guys are feeling confident making plays. And what's cool is you can see in the practice field now, the confidence even grow. And all of a sudden, a D. Wiggins who, made a great play in the game on the sweep, but now, just the way he's made some plays in practice this week. you start to feel good about yourself. What happens on Saturday, and it carries on into the work week.
Two more questions for Coach.
Can you touch on just the importance of getting some momentum as you go back into the SEC play after this one?
Well, yeah, it's momentum, but it's really improvement. And we talked about the improvement from game 1 to game 2, game 2 to game 3, and these are things that I know the opponent has some say in it, but more often than not, they really don't. We talk about, even just the level of, and our number one thing in our plan to win is play clean. And that's no misassignments, no miscommunications, and no penalties. And what percentage of plays do we accomplish that? And, our offense had the highest day last Saturday. Well, that has really nothing to do with the opponent. Those are all things that we control. The opponent does not force you to miss an assignment, does not force you to have a miscommunication. And so, if we can continue to get that scale to go up as the year goes on, and that's with playing more people as well, that's what we're obsessed with right now, is just getting better as a team.
How have your kids responded to, when you lose a couple close ones, the film doesn't lie, and I'm sure kids are very eager to clean things up. How have they responded to when you win a game by 9 touchdowns? There's still things to clean up.
And the film still doesn't lie. And see, that's the funny thing. When you watch a film, and remember, offenses watches offense, defenses watches defense. You never watch a victory or defeat. You just watch a performance. Because you're really not in control. There's no player that can control winning or losing because there's another side of the ball. There's no side of the ball that can control when you're losing. There's another side of the ball. So you just see a performance, and then there's always a way to improve on the performance, always. And a lot of times you can win and not have a good performance and not want to improve on that because you get the allure of winning. So I think just, we have a staff that, keeps it real. We're honest in terms of what we see and say, look, this is not our standard. This is not right. We have to fix this regardless of opponent going forward.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all, Kevin.